All right, good morning and welcome to my Vloggins, which actually it'll probably be afternoon or night by the time I get this up. So what is this? I am Joshua Kemble, and I've been a professional illustrator, graphic designer, cartoonist for over 15 years, and I've been a professional art director for over 7. And I also, when I'm not art directing or doing graphic design or illustration or being a dad and a husband, I am working on my own personal comic projects. The kind of comics I do are usually autobiographical in nature. They deal with heavy topics like mental illness and faith, and also just like, you know, playground politics as a kid, like so childhood memories, and basically like I try to delve into some pretty deep, heavy topics for comics. Not that comics haven't, but that's kind of the realm I like to write in and create in. And if you're curious about those things, you can pick up 2 stories. Book 1, my comic about faith and mental illness, that's hand lettered, hand inked, and can be handed to you for like way less, under $10 on Amazon. I think it's somewhere around $5 right now, which is insane. And I will tell you, I have another book in the future that I'll be announcing, and I doubt it's going to be in that price range because that's just an insanely, like, I don't honestly know how they're affording doing that. But anyhow, so go take advantage of that if you want and get a good graphic novel for really low cost. If also you're more interested in supporting your local comic book shop, just tell your local comic shop about it. Ask them to order a copy of 2 stories from Ingram. And maybe convince your local comic shop, if you've read it and you bought it, to order it. Like, that's honestly the lifeblood of the industry, and it'd be cool to see some orders come through. So this is the vlog that I record when I'm not, when I'm on my way to where I work full-time as an art director, and I'll talk about my process and a little bit about my life and just sort of artistic processes and thoughts on art and cartooning and all sorts of stuff like that. Right now, though, for some reason I'm stuck behind a truck that's turning. Okay. Whew. We got through it. All right, so let me get into the content. So I don't have a ton to talk about. I will say last night I got a panel penciled for page 10 of 2 Stories Book 2. And I was hoping to get 2 panels penciled, especially because they're close-up panels and those go a lot quicker. But life interfered and got busy. And I thought I'd kind of go through this just to kind of explain like some of the things that come up when you're working on comics after, you know, having a day job, even if it's a creative day job. So today, or yesterday, when I got home, I was all pumped, ready to work on comics. I had psyched myself out. What I was going to do was I alternate my workout days. So on one day of the week, every other day of the week, I basically row using the rowing machine, doing about a mile, which isn't a ton, but a mile rowing is a lot different than like on a legit rowing machine than like, you know, like a mile running or walking. But I will say, I try to do a mile minimum on my rowing machine, and then I do free weights and stuff. And the only reason I do this is to try to kind of maintain my physical health so that I can run the duration of like doing what we do all day. So yeah, so yesterday, and then the other days, what I had been doing is biking, and just weather conditions and stuff. There's no way I'm gonna get on a bike, and so what I've been wanting to substitute in was yoga, which is a really good workout as well, and also just works different muscles than like the every other day workout, so that every day of the week I'm doing some kind of exercise that'll help my heart and my health. So yeah, so anyhow, was about to do that, and then just everything kind of crazy happens. So, you know, nothing huge, but it's all these little things that basically made my art time just shrink. Like, so my vision was like, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna, like, you know, get my son in the bath, get him bathed, and then I'm gonna, like, you know, probably do yoga, and then do book time with him, and then do pencil two panels of 2 Stories Book 2. But I get home, one of our outlets seems to be dead, which I think signifies because it just rained. There might be like a leak or something in the house, or it could just be old electronics or whatever. But reset the breakers, like did all the, you know, the testing, like check the ground and stuff, and it's like, it's just dead. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but we're probably gonna have to hire an electrician. And by the time I've gone through this like breaker reset and kind of ruling out other possibilities on like this little section of the house, like I had lost like an hour to that. So then I start my son's bath. It's like an hour later, and then we do bath. At that point, there's no like little in between. Usually between bath time and book time, there's like enough time for me to get in. Like that would be a good time for me to either A, play with my son, or B, like do the yoga, which was what I was planning on doing. But again, plans kind of flew out the window, and so I wound up just having to do book time with Ben. So I do book time with Ben. We're almost wrapped up with book time, and then he, I have no idea how, like trips, like I'm looking for a Lego piece for him or something as I'm tucking him in for bed. We've done book time, all of that, so he's ready to go to bed. And as I'm like in the corner of the room, like looking for a Lego piece, I just hear this thump, and I turn around, and my son had fallen face forward off his bed. He's okay, thank God. But it was frightening, because it's like, that was really loud, like it sounded really bad. And of course he's screaming like, oh no, and it's like, you know, it's sad because he's 8, and it's like, you know, 8-year-olds kind of hurt themselves sometimes, but it's still like, and it wasn't permanent. Like I definitely looked at it, he wasn't bleeding, like even this morning, like, you know, it wasn't even as bad as I thought it would be. Like I thought he might have like a bruise or something, and he's fine. But it's like, then I have to comfort my kid who just fell and he doesn't feel good, and make sure he's okay, make sure obviously it's like not a concussion or something. So I'm like checking his eyes, making sure they dilate, like, you know, all of that stuff. Finally, like, realize like he's okay, like calm him down, like make him feel reassured. Every time I leave the room, he'd want to talk to me and be close to me, which makes sense because it's a kid who just like, you know, like hurt himself, like face planted, and now he's like really sad, and he like wants comfort. So it's like, you're, as a parent, as a dad or a mom, that's your job. That's like job number 1 is like, job number 2, I guess job number 1's like you provide and support and take care of your kid. Job number 2 is you need to be the comfort for that kid. You need to be the reflection of like God's love for people. Like you need to reflect that to your children, like reflect God's love, and so that means like whatever's going on, like now my job is just comfort my kid. So anyhow, he's okay, Ben's okay, I make sure he's okay, I double check that he's okay, he's comforted, he's finally able to fall asleep. I feel comfortable with him falling asleep because I've gone through a bunch of checklists, and I'm like, yeah, like there's no concussion or anything like that, like he's good, you know, he just bonked his head on the floor, somehow face planting from standing on his bed, which he shouldn't be standing on his bed. But anyhow, he's a sweet kid, and I don't know, he's amazing. But I just, it's amazing what kids will do to hurt themselves. Like quite often at 8, kids will just run and then just fall, like boom, just, you know, face plant or whatever. And Ben's a pretty safe kid, but still, I've seen it like a million times when all the kids play, especially in Ben's social circle and stuff. It's just shocking how much they injure themselves, but it makes sense. And a lot of them, like, at my age, if I took a fall like that, I would be like seriously like having trouble. At his age, he just kind of bounced back and is good. So anyhow, now I'm getting on a digression about Ben. Point being, by the time Ben's asleep, everything's done, everything's wrapped up. I've comforted my kid. He's asleep. The electric stuff I've figured out. We're probably gonna have to call an electrician, but whatever. So I've dealt with this whole little thing. It's all little things, like nothing I'm complaining about. Like, my life is pretty good. These aren't horrible problems to have. They're just normal day-to-day. Like, one is just a typical home ownership problem, especially with the house that we bought where it was like previously rented and stuff like that. Like, you know, these things come up. That's part of being a homeowner. And similarly, like, you know, with the kid, like, I'm just glad he was okay. He didn't hurt himself like too seriously, like, you know, and he felt comforted and finally was able to go to sleep. So yeah, like, no big problem, but time consuming. So now it's like, you know, I thought I was going to be starting my comic at medium, like at 10 o'clock, but now it's 11 o'clock and I'm like, okay, I really needed to do yoga because, like, I fell out of the practice of working out daily when my wife first injured her back. And so it had been like up until like 3 days ago, I had allowed myself to like not exercise for like a week and a half, which for me is like danger territory because you miss 1 or 2 days, that's one thing. But once it starts getting into weeks, that easily, like, I know myself, and I will get very comfortable with being unhealthy. And the downside of that is then I end up in a bunch of pain because, like, I haven't worked out my back, I haven't stretched, and so then I start getting a lot of back pain and like aches and pains and stuff. And it's better, I've learned the hard way, it's better to just feel the temporary pain of like a decent workout and then like not have pain throughout the week than to like totally ignore working out and then just be filled with pain like constantly. And that's just the age I'm at. I know it's weird to say, but it's like you hit this age where that's just your life. Like, that's going to be the way it is. Probably, you know, perpetually until you know, the end of my days. So anyhow, I know that it's important to take care of my health because, you know, my number one priority is my family. Well, actually, number one is God, but then it's family. And to worship God, I'm supposed to worship God with my heart and body and mind. And obviously body would mean I should probably exercise. Also, to take care of my family, I need to have my health. And so I need to exercise. And also, I'm a much better person when I'm not like constantly feeling pain, just like, because when you're in pain, you feel very, at least, you know, most of us know, it's like you get irritated, you have issues, all of that. So anyhow, so it's a no-brainer at this point. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm like, I still am going to commit to just doing the yoga for like 40 minutes. You know, just like a very basic yoga thing, because it's been a long time since I've done yoga, and I've done it enough to know, like, it is no joke. Like, yoga is a hard workout. At least to me, it's an intense workout. And it was shocking to find that out when I first did. So finally, so I sit down, I get centered, I do yoga. You know, I try to kind of do all the poses and like do the breathing and like finally get to like what they call shavasana, which is like at the end where you like relax and you breathe and like it's like, okay, so we got to shavasana, great, we're good. Freaking yoga, check, done. Now it's 11:40. So then I'm like, okay, well, I have to work on comics, and I was gonna try to do a live stream, and I'm like, at this point, if I live streamed, like, I'm gonna be the most boring person on the planet. What I really need to do is just get this comic done, and at least a panel, and then just crash, because, I mean, at this point, it was so tempting yesterday for me to just throw in the towel and be like, you know what? There's just no time for comics. I'm just gonna call it and go to bed. I've got work, I've got a long commute, all the excuses. If you're curious, you can go back to like my 5 excuses vloggins that I did a couple days back, where I go through 5 common excuses that creatives make for themselves, at least I make for myself as an artist, not to work, and then how to shoot those excuses down. So I don't need to rehash that, but the point being, that's one of my 5 is like I worked a long day, I have like a long commute, life is so hard for me, so I need to take a break and just relax, and I've earned it, like that kind of thing. No. So I wasn't letting myself have that. So I'm like, here's the thing, I'm exhausted. This has been a crazy day. It hasn't been crazy bad. It's just been crazy busy, and so I'm like, regardless though, I need to do at least a panel. Like if I don't do a panel, there's no progress on the book, and the book's never getting done. But at least one panel. And I was still at this point thinking like, yeah, I'll do 2 panels. So this time I'm like, okay, if I try to do 2 panels and I try to do a live stream, I'm literally gonna just like crumble and probably like not even do well at either. The live stream won't be worth it, comic won't be worth it. So one of those things has to go. It's the live stream, and I'll just work on my comic and kind of center myself and just kind of zone out and like listen to a podcast or whatever while I'm drawing. So I drew one panel, and by the time I'm done drawing the panel, it's like 1 a.m, and I was like, all right, I just have to call it. Like at that point, I could feel if I like pushed it another hour, I was just gonna like be completely useless the next day. So that was my day. I just wanted to like explain that, because like I am a workhorse. I think of myself as a workhorse. Maybe I'm not, and I don't sleep a lot of hours, but still, there's like life gets crazy and busy, and it doesn't have to be like life-altering events that are gonna kind of like try to make us as creatives like not work on our projects. It could be something simple like, as a parent, just having to be there and be present for your kid. And at that point, it is really helpful for me to like go back to my order of priorities, which I've talked about before on this vlog, where it's like, well, my family's like one of my highest priorities, and it's easily like my son definitely comes before comic books. So if I have a loved one in pain who like needs comfort and needs relief, like no brainer, my plans, my comics, my stuff, like that can go to the side, because even if that couldn't happen, it's better for me ethically to stick with that list, like the list of priorities. And definitely when it's your kid, it's like if your kid really needs you, you need to be there for them. So there was that. And then also same thing, like, if your house, if the electricity goes out, like you need to handle that situation. It's, so these aren't huge things. I want to be really clear. I don't want to sound entitled or anything. Nothing giant, I have a friend I was talking to recently where their whole backyard flooded, like hardcore flooded, and they had to take care of that. Now that's pretty serious. And that's not even as serious as it can get, but I'm just saying that's far worse than what I was dealing with. Like my backyard didn't flood, and it could, but that's the point. It could, like, things happen, things come up, and when you're trying to work on your own personal creative projects, at least for me, I thought explaining like how that went and the compromises I make, but still manage to work on my comic and get at least one panel a day done. That is by far, I think, the one way to get through that kind of stuff and allow yourself to get these things done. And I will tell you, I know a lot of cartoonists who would still look at that day and that one panel and be like, that's not enough. And maybe it isn't, but my point is, for me it was, and I do feel like I overcame a lot of resistance and an obstacle to kind of even get to sit down at the page. But I will tell you guys, if you take on a big project, expect stuff like that. Just understand stuff like that's going to happen. Have your list of priorities in your life so that you know what can give and what can't. And know what compromises can happen and which ones can't, right? To me, when it came between the live stream, which I enjoy and I think are really important, and the penciling the comic, if one of those had to give, I'm always gonna pick the comic, because I'm gonna I think that is the whole purpose of me live streaming and stuff like that. So if I lose the purpose of it, then doing the live stream is ridiculous. It's purposeless. So that's where, I know I'm rambling, but it's that's where the order of priorities in life, especially on your project, where does this fit in my list of priorities for life? And yeah, knowing that will help significantly. So yeah, so that's basically that. I guess that'll basically do it. I think that'll basically call it, yeah. All right. So I'm Joshua Kemble. Thank you for tuning in and catching my vlog. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit the like button, comment. Let me know what little roadblocks you guys have overcame in the past few days or weeks. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.